That's big business. Hit town, but that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 22 of the 10th Inning Podcast. Yes, you heard me correctly. Episode 22. We've made it this far. Love it. And we got many episodes coming ahead of us. Dan, how are you doing? We have Clayton Kershaw, and you may not be able to see, but he's got a pistachio nut in his finger there. Yep.
Yep, episode 22. Excuse me, I'm just showing me. And Clayton Kershaw, okay? I feel like I'm just holding Didi up. And now the background you guys see here, okay? I'm trying to go side to side. You see it. It's the new logo, babes. Okay? How do we get the new logo, you might ask? What a beautiful logo. Sean, could you tell the viewers about how did we get the funds, man? How did we do it?
Well, the kind people who purchased hats are beautiful hats. We put the money back into the podcast. You know, as any successful business must do, you got to put the money back in to succeed. And you know, you kind viewers, subscribers, listeners, this is your doing. You did
you
this.
Guys. So listen, if you want me to get a better camera, a better situation, buy some hats. Listen, already hats have been sold. Guess what's happened? We got a dope logo. We got a dope intro. We got a dope outro. All right. If you want to invest in the podcast, invest in this. If you already like it and you want it to get better and better, better audio, better video, support us by buying the merch, man. And this is what you're going to get. I'm not, going to Chipotle, Taco Bell with it. Okay. We're reinvesting it back in the pod.
Yeah.
And God bless. God bless. As I said, this is episode number 22. Showing, you know what? I'm not even done with the logo. I thought it was going to be done. I'm not. I want you to kind of give an overview of why the logo is what it is, because it looks cool, but I feel like if there's no backstory at all, it's just cool.
So for the logo,
go ahead.
Okay. So you look, it's classic scoreboard, baseball scoreboard. And first thing I'm going to point out is it goes 10 innings. You know why? Because, we're the 10th inning podcast. It's a cool little quirk right then and there. Also, in the first, second, and third innings, 6 runs were scored in the first, 3 runs scored in the second, 1 run scored in the third. What's the significance of that? 631 area code.
631, baby.
Suffolk County. That's where we met. That's where we're from. And it's just another cool little thing we got in there. And then you look at the runs. You know, it worked out perfectly. 6, 3, and 1 equals 10. And I'm not a math whiz, so I had to confirm this with Dan and a calculator, but it does equal 10. And the hits wise, all right, number 9 is my number. I was born September 9th, 1999, 9999. A lot of 9s. Dan, favorite number is 22. Clayton Kershaw, episode 22. A little ironic there, isn't it? And that's why he has 22 hits. So, and then you see the 2 handsome little silhouettes there on the side. That's Dan and I right there.
It all comes together in episode 22, babes. Thanks for supporting the pod. I designed it, like I did a mock-up of it, but a beautiful, nice man on Fiverr, did it for me for a decent price, and I think it turned out great. Stoked about it. Stoked about reinvesting everything back in the pod and making this bigger and better. But Sean, we're still on the weeks of rankings here. What position are we up to right now?
We actually have a twofer today.
A twofer.
We do have a twofer. So everybody, strap yourselves in. It's gonna be a nice one. We got third base and we got DH, newly universal. We'll get into that a little bit later. So we got third base and DH. So grab your coffees, whatever, your snacks, sit down, relax, and enjoy. And here's where we find out who's behind Dan.
You know who this is.
I do know who that is, but his name I'm forgetting at this moment. He actually didn't make my list, a little spoiler. He made my just missed list. I forget his name.
This is Chimer Candelario, folks.
There we go.
I was going through it, and normally I give like someone who's going to be on the top 3 most likely, a guy that people would want to click on the video for. No one's going to click on this video. Let's just be frank about it. I basically threw the podcast out of the 7 views it's going to get. But Let me tell you why. Okay, let me give you some insight. You talk about obviously who do I want to put? Rafael Devers, right? I mean, it's my boy. I could put Justin Turner. It's kind of cool, but then it's like, he's just a homer. All of a sudden, who's left? I could go Jose Ramirez. Everyone knows, like, who you can't put that up there. Okay, plus it's Matt,
Yeah.
third baseman. Machado, fuck Machado, not gonna have it on my podcast. Rendon, you might as well put Candelario if you're gonna put Rendon. Not that he's not good, but no one, he's not like, he doesn't draw out emotion. Arenado, not for me. Austin Riley, hate him. Bregman, hate him. Just thinking about it. And you talk about guys like Eduardo Escobar, you get fringe guys. Been there, done that. So you end up winding up on somebody who just needs a little more love than he gets. That's trying to find Mario.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, do you want to just get right into it? You want to start?
Going right into it is not what this has been, but let's get into it, babe. Let's do it.
All right. Now you're going to give us your list of 20 people who missed out?
Is that what you'd like me to do? I'll do it. Now, third base is a little more shallow. So it's not as many shutouts. So
it's interesting because third base is typically one of the best power positions. Best hitter on the team is typically a third baseman over, baseball history.
Looks like there's about 16. So maybe I wasn't as frank as I should be. So for real life, first out, I'm going to give a shout out. Didn't even make the shout outs. Patrick Wisdom. Okay. Just as like a fantasy type situation, I think he has easy 35 homer potential. A lot of homers in a short amount of games last year. But the numbers, the numbers back it up. Like, he does have pretty good pop, hits the ball really hard. But man, he is, I think he's the next Joey Gallo. I don't know how teams will like that. I don't like that. And I hate to put that on Pat. I really do. But I do think he's the next Joey Gallo. I think he can hit 35, but I think him hitting over 220, believe it or not, would be a stretch. I think he's Joey Gallo with slightly less pop. But he does walk too. Which, he's Joey Gallo. Spent too much time on Patrick Wisdom. But just if you're looking for another Joey Gallo. Anyway, coming in at the 15th, or 15th, I guess, we got Jeimer Candelario, 21 homers, 275, 355 on base. The defense is hot garb, unfortunately. Decent little player though, 275, 355 with 20 bombs. Can't complain about that. He doesn't have any speed. So it is what it is, but I think he's a serviceable bat. I don't know about for fantasy, but definitely for real life. Coming in at 14th for real life, we have Ryan McMahon, 25, 250, 330, and 5 bags. Listen, I was high on Ryan McMahon a couple of years ago, but I think that's even like generous for him. He really fell off in the second half, and I think a lot of it is course. But listen, he's going to play in course, so you can't take it away from him. So that is where he plays. But I think he's 12th for fantasy, only because you're going to get him in course. You get some upside there. 13th, tied for 13th. Two guys you're going to know, and Sean might love one of them, and that is Matt Chapman. I could not get him in my top 10, even with the defense. I'm sorry. It's just the offense is just brutal, man. Brutal. 16th for fantasy. So that's dead last for fantasy, but 13th for real life. I mean, the defense and leadership's at a 1.5, almost a perfect score. I think he'll probably hit 30 bombs, but he's going to hit 225 with a 325 on base with no steals. I just can't justify it. And tied with him is Moncada, a very different player, but similar value in my mind. The defense is the shit. Offense is half decent. I think he's 15th for fantasy. 16 homers, a 265 average, 360 on base. Surprised by how much he gets on base. I think he walks a good amount, which is great. But I don't think the homer potential is as good as we saw. I believe that was 2019, right, where he went off and had a really good season. But I just don't see that going forward. The numbers don't really back it up. And then getting into number 12 is Brian Hayes. Also did not make it. 13th for fantasy, 12th for real life. 13 bombs. He doesn't have a lot of pop. 260 average, 320 on base. You're asking yourself, how the hell did he even make it over those guys? He doesn't get on base and he has no power. He doesn't even hit for average. What does this guy do? I think he quite possibly could be the best fielding third baseman right now. Sounds wild because we got Matt Chapman and Arenado still in their prime, but this guy's filthy with the glove. And he also does steal. I think you can get 16 bags out of him. And I think those two separate skill sets have him as my number 12 for real life. Number 11, just missing out. Guy really wanted another prospect rookie in the top 10 for another position because, it pissed everybody off. 11th real life, or 11 for fantasy as well. I got Josh Jung. I think he's going to hit 26 bombs with a 280 average, a 340 on base, which I hope that he could get up over his career. It's a little bit low for me. Not much steals, 3 bags. Defense and leadership obviously sitting at a 5 right now because he is a prospect, and I don't know about any of that. But Sean, any takes on my just missers?
No, I think there's a couple guys that we had on there that I also had on my just missed out, and then also one guy that was on your missed out who is on my list. So,
do you want to give your just missed?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting my just missed, I'm gonna go Joey Wendell.
Ooh, Joey Wendell. Huge dynasty, not dynasty, the show player for me. Love Joey Wendell. 97 overall, use that card all the time.
Yeah. He's another one of those typical Tampa Bay Ray guys, just kind of flies under the radar in a sense. And then I won't go in too depth with them, but because I kind of didn't go too much into the research with my guys who just missed out. But one guy who I thought was going to make it who did not was Yoan Moncada, who you also had on your miss out. He's a guy that I think, the sky's the limit for him, but I think he's still kind of not lived up to his potential as he was at one point the number 1 prospect in baseball, but still a very important part of the White Sox. Another guy who I really thought was going to make the list was Josh Donaldson. That's not a knock on him. He's still a very solid player. I just think that at this point in his career, he's trending downward, and that's going to continue. If it was 5 years ago, I'd easily probably be top 5 after the MVP year he had. But yeah, he's getting a little bit older, and his numbers have kind of shown a bit of a dip, and I think it's going to continue. Then we have Yeimer. Am I saying that correctly?
I'd say Yeimer, but you're probably saying it right.
I don't even know. Right. Anyway, I did have him on the list for a while, but then eventually got bumped out. My list was very fluid up until the very end. I got to be honest with you, I just actually changed it a little bit. I realized that I had some guys flipped. Two in particular, I guess. I just changed that. So it was a very fluid list, but he just missed out. He was number 12 on mine, actually. I kind of said their names out of order, but
I like that. I like love for Yeimer or Heimer today.
Yeah.
No one talks about him.
I didn't really know much of. I knew him, but I didn't look in depth at it with him until this.
Couple decent years in a row now, too, right? Just a little sneaky.
I mean, Detroit, it's nice you can sneak under the radar there,
Yeah. Well, not Javi Baez.
I was about to say, Javi's got a new teammate, Javi, friend of the pod.
Sean, you want to kick it off with your 10th?
Absolutely. My 10th guy is someone who made your list of just missed out.
Okay.
And that's Ryan McMahon.
Okay.
So, I agree with your sentiment that Coors Field does definitely help him a little bit. He's another guy who I don't want to keep saying flying under the radar, but playing in Colorado, you don't really necessarily get the attention. But I think with Arenado gone and Trevor Story likely to be gone, he's pretty much the face of the team. I guess Charlie Blackmon's there as well, but
yeah,
he's getting up there. He's 35. Chuck Nasty's still kicking around out there, but I think he's honestly the face of the team, which take that as you may, if you're a Rockies fan. But let's get into some of his stats. 254 batting average, decent. 147 strikeouts. You already know how damn I feel about that. OPS under 800, but close to it. 23 bombs, 86 RBIs. So he's kind of your, he's got a little bit of pop. I mean, if he played in any other stadium, he'd probably be closer to like 15 home runs maybe instead of 23. 86 RBIs, you like that, but with the home runs, I like the home runs, it would be, knocked down a little bit. But he kind of is that that prototypical type power, not necessarily power hitter, but doesn't hit for a super high average, but he can drive in the runs. His on base percentage 331, decent, not bad. But I just I don't know. He's young, so I figured I'd throw him in here on the list. He had a good year last year. I know you said second half he didn't do as well, and he didn't. But I think he's got some good potential. And as long as he plays in Coors Field, those numbers are definitely going to be inflated in a sense. So it'll make him that much better. And he's probably a pretty good fantasy player, I have to imagine.
Yeah. I'm looking at his second half numbers now. His power went down significantly in the second half. But what did go up, actually, and I'm looking at it, is his on base, which is nice to see. So maybe upon further reflection, he might have taken the opposite approach of what most people are doing now and tried to get on base more rather than just swing for the fences in Coors, which in my opinion actually would be a benefit to do in Coors because you don't really have to swing for the fences when the ball goes over the fence without you trying. So that could be interesting to look at. I like that. I like number 10, especially for fantasy. I mean, I know we're talking about real life, but again, just going back to fantasy, can't discount a guy when they're playing in Coors because they're still playing. Yeah. It is what it is. My number 10 guy, man, Sean, this hurts. I'm not going to lie to you because I wanted this to be, we're talking number 1. I wanted just this. I just wanted to have a half hour to just talk about him and let everybody know that he's the greatest of all time. Sean, do you know who this is?
Eduardo Escobar.
This is your New York Mets third baseman, Eduardo Escobar. I've never liked the Mets player so much in my life. 10th for real life and 10th for fantasy. I think he's hitting 34 bombs this year. Just going to be frank with you. That's what I think he's going to do. He's going to hit 250, a 323 on base. He could get on base more. I think he steals one big, Sean. I think you get him for one base.
Okay.
Defense isn't great. Leadership is what it is. It's a 4.5. But the guy is still just underrated. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, last year he hit 22 bombs, but his expected slugging was just on pace. And he only played how many games? 146 games. He had 28 bombs. I'm sorry. He had 22 bombs for Arizona, 6 for Milwaukee. In 146 games, he had 28 bombs. But if you look at his expected homers, he actually got screwed, I think, among the most of the major leaguers where his expected homers, I think he had like 4 or 5 more expected. If you check that out. I mean, the guy's 35 homer potential with a 250 average, and people just sleep on him like he's nothing. People don't talk about him like that. I love me some Eduardo Escobar, and I think you should too. Thank you.
Yeah, he actually made my list a little bit higher, so I can speak on him more there. But as far as being extremely underrated, he is, and apparently, from what I've heard, he's a really good guy in the clubhouse too, and he's well liked. So that's obviously a really important aspect of any team because that's kind of the intangible thing that can make or sink a team, the clubhouse. Friend of the pod, Javi Baez, last year at the Mets.
That's right. Just to clarify what I was saying, not to interrupt you, but -5 on the expected homers, actual 28, expected 33. Like I said, one of the most in the league with that stat. So I do think he's going to regress back to the norm and hit 33 to 35 bombs next year, which is exciting stuff for the New York Mets.
I like that pick, and I hope he does really well for the Mets. That's all I'm going to say.
Me too. I've never said that, but me too, man.
Yeah. Now we go to a Mets game, you don't go just for Juan Soto.
I hope he wins World Series MVP. I
don't even know how I'd handle that. I probably would just start
Mets
crying.
legend.
Yeah, to retire the number. All right, so my number 9. Well, I'm gonna preface this a little bit here.
Mhm.
This is a guy who at one point was easily top 5, if not top 3, third baseman in baseball. Has taken a nice fall from grace, and well, there may be one reason or another for that. Alex Bregman of America's team, the Houston Astros.
Mm.
I really did not realize how bad of a year he had last year. And when I say bad, he did better than you know, a lot of people out there. 270 batting average, 12 home runs, 55 RBIs. Didn't play a lot. He only played 91 games. So maybe I'm just overshooting or blowing out of proportion what he did. But the numbers haven't been great in recent years. In the shortened season, he hit, I believe, 242 and didn't produce much. Now, given that was a short year, and we'll say, ad nauseum that we'll throw those numbers out the window, but he just doesn't look like the same player he once was. And I say that him being, I think, 27 years old, so there's plenty of time for him to regain that. I don't like him as a person. I think he's pretty obnoxious. Yeah. So I mean, that's all speak on that one. But I don't think that. I think his best years probably are behind him. If I'm being totally honest, I could be really harsh with this. I probably am. He'll probably win MVP next year, and I hope this is part of his acceptance speech. He shouts us out at the 10th Inning podcast.
Yeah, please do.
He could be a friend of the pod with Javi. But Alex Bregman, my number 9 third baseman.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't think that he's going to regain what he once had. I mean, no more trash cans being banged. So I mean,
Sean, I don't think you're crazy far off. I think he's going to be closer on my list than you'd think to this spot. I think if Zeke was here right now, we would be having to diffuse a bomb situation. He would be losing his freaking mind. But I'll talk about Bregman later. My number 9 third baseman, a guy that just missed yours, and maybe because I'm that weirdo that digs into a little bit deeper of the weird numbers, I found it in my heart to say F age. We're going with Josh Donaldson here. Okay. This guy, I mean, he's just still got it. I don't really do this for everybody, but I'm gonna do it here, folks. We're gonna go here. Oh God, we'll have to cut that. You didn't see it. I'm not cutting it. None of you saw it. Okay? Don't you pause. If you pause the video, you're not a subscriber anymore. You understand? Unsubscribe. Well, you're not a friend of the pod if you pause the video. The point of this was, take a look at Josh. He's still at 36. Look at his expected weighted on base, his barrel percentage, his average exit velocity, his max, his hard hit percentage. The guy walks. Yeah, he swings and misses a little bit, but he also doesn't chase that much. The guy is still elite. Put up another elite metric season last year. Now walking back almost 14%. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with all these numbers. The point is, the underlying metrics say Josh Donaldson still has more in the tank at age 36 years old. Do I think he's going to be MVP Josh Donaldson? Absolutely not. What I do think is fair is 33 bombs, 265 average with a 362 on base. And frankly, folks, defense a lot better than you would have thought. He's an average defender, maybe slightly above. I thought he would have been a shitty defender. He's an average defender. And leadership, I think in my opinion, he's like top 2 or 3 leaders at the third base position. He can get under people's skin a little bit rough. You've heard some things. Not everyone loves him in the clubhouse, but not everyone like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant in the clubhouse either. That's just kind of how it is. Sometimes you either want to win or you want to make friends. Sometimes demanding the best out of your teammates is important, and I think that's where that stems from Josh Donaldson. He's a winner and he wants to win. So I have him at 2.5 for defensive leadership, but 9th both for real life and fantasy. I'm big on Josh Donaldson this year, and again, going back to it, -5 for expected homers, the same exact as Eduardo Escobar. He had 26 last year. He was projected to have 30.5 based on his batted ball data, and he only played 135 games last year, guys. I don't think it would be crazy for him to go back and hit 35 homers this year with a decent average and decent on base and some decent defense and leadership. Josh Donaldson, number 9.
You know, I when I was making this, I thought maybe I had should have put him on the list, and probably in hindsight I should have. I think that he's definitely he's above average third baseman. Put it that way, in my opinion. The bringer of rain. I mean, he was on those Toronto teams. Those are so fun teams to watch. Those are good teams. I like that pick. I like that pick.
Thank you.
What are we on, 8 now? Yeah, 8.
We're on 8.
My number 8 is Eduardo Escobar, aforementioned Eduardo Escobar. I really don't have too much else to add on top of what you said, Dan. But I will make a bit of a claim. People will know his name at the end of this year. He's going to get the respect he deserves. He's probably going to play everywhere for the Mets. Second base, third base, maybe even a little bit of shortstop. Yeah. Frankie Lindor needs a day off.
Move over, Frankie.
But he'll most likely play more games at third than anywhere else. But I'm excited to see what he can do with the Mets this year. It was a signing that kind of came out of nowhere, and I was happy about it. So Eduardo Escobar, number 8 for me.
Sean, I love the pick. I love your 8th best. I can't believe after all this, you ended up having him higher than me. I feel like this happens constantly in every episode. Whoever's guy it is, they have him higher. And congrats on that. Thank you for that. You said something I wanted to respond to. Don't remember now. If I remember later, I'll let you know. My 8th best third baseman. He's already been mentioned today. And Zeke, get ready to lose your mind in the comments. That's right. The highest that Alex Bregman will get on this podcast, Zeke, is going to be 8. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. As shown here, and I do have a consolation, Zeke. If you're still watching, if you haven't clicked off yet, here's your consolation. 8th for real life, 4th. One of the biggest jumps, 4th for fantasy. I do think this is still a really elite, viable fantasy option. Projected stat line of 27 homers, 272 average, 365 on base with 5 steals. Defense and leadership at 3.5. The defense is at best. The leadership is at best. It's I mean, you look at his batted ball, percentages. It's not, it's pretty much the opposite of what Josh Donaldson looked like. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He's not expected to have a crazy on base average. His actual batting average isn't bad. He's expected to hit 265, 270, which I think he can outperform because he is a decent hitter and hits a lot of line drives in his profile. The best thing that he does is he walks and he doesn't strike out. He has amazing strikeout and walk percentage. Last year, 95th percentile in strikeout rate. Only struck out 13.3% of the time. Sean, are you getting a little shove off that? Because that gets 13.3 strikeout percentage.
I mean, that's that. I mean,
thank God it's filming from here up, okay? Because along with an 11% walk percentage, that's filthy to me. Which is why, especially in a points league, if you're doing roto, it might be different, but in a points league that we do, on base is king, because strikeouts really do hurt you. I feel like that's just what he is. That's what his numbers indicate that he's going to do, and that's fine. 27, 272, 365, but with average to below average defense, there's 7 better third basemen in the league right now. I think it's a lot more indicative of the top 5 to 7, how quality the third basemen are, rather than how bad Bregman is.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I really do. I should have said that he had a great strikeout to walk ratio, but that's about the only thing saving grace in my eyes.
And Zeke, so if you want to bring up the 2019 MVP year, it just doesn't get back. He'll never hit 40 home runs again. He'll never hit probably over 30. He doesn't hit the ball hard enough to do it. He got a lot of benefit. Even that year, it was like the numbers didn't even back up then in 2019 with a juice ball. So
You won the MVP that year?
No, he had an MVP type season. He easily could have.
Yeah, that's right. I guess we're on to 7 now, right?
I guess that's where we're at. Yeah.
7. Well, I believe this guy was on your you just missed list, or I believe Matt Chapman, your favorite guy.
Okay.
Matt Did you already name him, or am I just?
I did. I did. No, he's tied for 13 with Yohan.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yeah, Matt Chapman. Basically, I'm banking on him being young and returning to his former offensive self because last year, my God, was awful. 202 batting average. Or sorry, not 202. That's the amount of strikeouts he had. 202 strikeouts. My bad. 210 batting average. So he almost had more. He almost had a higher strikeouts than he did his batting average. Just put that in perspective.
How many games did he play?
He played 151 games.
Okay, full year.
So he had 80 walks. That's a fair amount of walks. I mean, on base 314. You know, like see it better. 27 bombs, 72 RBIs. He's had some really good years in the past. His 2019 year was a good year, but juice balls, as we said before. Great fielder. Good friend of Nolan Arenado, so that helps. I mean, that they went to the same high school together. But yeah, I'm putting him up here at this spot because I think he's gonna. He has so much talent.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna realize it again, like he did in 2019. But my God, 202 strikeouts. That's the most in Major League Baseball. I thought Javi had that. Javi had like 184. Friend of the pod. Matt Chapman could be friend of the pod. We don't know. 202. Like really. I mean, were you going up there and like not even like any? Like all right, every pitch coming, I'm just gonna swing. Like I mean, you have to try. 202. You hit 210.
What was his strikeout rate? Wasn't it like? Oh, it might have been over 30.
I think it was. I think it was like 32. I believe. I was looking at when I looked at I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah, man, Sean, I can't. That's the thing. Like, if he just hit 220, like I think he'll bounce back to 225. Like he hit 210 last year. I think he'll bounce back to 225.
Yeah.
But if he did that while putting the ball in play, and it's hard to hit that low while putting the ball in play. But I mean, just like one out of every three.
He hit for an average.
What?
Yeah. He hit 278 his first full year in the majors, and ever since then he's been like 240, 230, 210. It's just going down. The more I talk about him, the more I'm like, why did I put him in the 7th spot? But nonetheless, outstanding defender. He's going to be traded probably this year. I'm saying he's the type of player who goes to the Yankees, loves to strike out. I mean, he's the Yankees' prototypical player. Matt Chapman, future third baseman, New York Yankees. You heard it here first.
God. It's the most classic thing ever. All people want to do is just ship off the Oakland Athletic players I hate off to the Yankees. I think it's just to make me more aggravated than I already am with the organization. And God bless if they do. I'm off the Yankees. I don't even think I can call myself half a fan. I think I'm actually more of a fan now because I want them to win so badly at this point and just make better decisions. Excuse the pistachio nut in my mouth. While I give you my 7th best third baseman in real life, I was hoping I could leave this guy off the list. Basically, I put Zeke's favorite players right here in the 7-8 category. I don't like this guy at all. I hate him. I don't think he's overrated, but I think he's overrated. I don't like him. Let me just put it out there right now. It's Austin Riley. Okay. 7th best in real life, 7th best for fantasy. I think he's going to hit 32 bombs with a 282 average and a 360 on base. No speed, and the defense is quite literally one of the worst in the entire league. 5 for defensive leadership. But 32, 282, and 360s, pretty decent. There are 6 better third basemen, I think. There's a lot of decent offensive third. It's very top heavy. But Austin Riley, I mean, listen, the data backs it up what he did last year. His expected batting average was 281, but he hit 303. So does it back up the 303? No, but it backs up that he is a decent player. Like I said, I have him regressing back to like 280 type. I don't think he's ever going to hit over 300. I think there's too much swing and miss and strikeout in his profile to do that. He still struck out over 25% last year, which I don't love. The slugging looks to be about right, and I have him staying pretty consistent there with 32 bombs. He had 33 last year. and the on base is fairly consistent again. I think he'll hit probably around 360 on base. He was closer to 370 last year, but with the decrease in batting average because of worse luck, because he did have a BABIP of 368 last year. Before, over the last 500 plate appearances, he was closer to 300, which someone who's a decent hitter hits the ball hard, but also strikes out a lot. A 300 BABIP is pretty much where you're going to look to be for his like hitter profile. So that average to me is definitely coming down to around 280. It'll drag the OBP down, but decent. Too much of a deep dive than I even wanted to give on the guy. Decent player.
Now, what is it you don't like about
I don't know.
Austin Riley?
I think Zeke has him on his dynasty team. I don't like his face, and a decent look. Like there's nothing wrong with him. There's just some guys that you just don't like.
Okay, I mean, fair enough.
You know, like I didn't like Jeter for a long time, and it probably was because of Leif.
I still don't think you like Jeter.
I don't. No.
I mean, Leif really loved. I mean, I never liked Jeter because he's a Yankee, but Leif really loved Jeter.
And that turned me
why
off,
you
man.
didn't like him.
Yeah.
I mean, DJ3K needs a walker was your fantasy name, like way back when.
I just don't like guys to strike out a lot, and Zeke was so high on him. And you know how, when Zeke gets high on somebody, it's so you can't even listen to the guy. So I think that was it for me.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll speak more on him later. He's on my list, a little higher up. My number 6 third baseman is Ginger Jesus, Justin Turner. I'm sure you got him number 1, as you know, very on brand. This guy, dare I say, underrated. I feel like I always say underrated every episode.
I think he was going to make my top 10.
You didn't think?
I didn't think he was going to make my top 10 coming in. I almost didn't even look at him.
Wow.
I did it.
Wow.
I haven't even mentioned him yet. So like, I was blown away by one of my own favorite players. Blown away.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That is wild. Justin Turner. The guy is, when he's healthy, which he was last year for the most part, just produces. He's consistent. 27 bombs last year, 87 RBIs, 278 average, 361 OBP, 61 walks and 98 strikeouts. That's fantastic. Decent defender. He's kind of slipping in that regard. Never was a great defender, but was always serviceable. But as he's gotten older, it slipped a bit. But clubhouse guy, absolutely. They love him. He is one of the most important players of that team. And when he is injured or isn't playing, you could tell there's a difference. One of the few guys Dave Roberts likes to keep at his actual position, probably because he wouldn't be able to play many other positions. He's not super mobile, but he really is just a model of consistency. I mean, there's not many guys who have gone, their careers have taken the path that he took. He really he got cut by released by the Orioles, then came to the Mets. The Mets decided to, after a couple of years, he was a utility player, didn't play that much. They didn't want to bring him back. Goes to the Dodgers and has made a name for himself and won a World Series. He's somehow only a 2-time All-Star. Don't know how that happened, but we're starting to figure out All-Star games in any sport are kind of just jokes at this point. Yeah. But Justin Turner, model of consistency, great beard. The pine tar stain on his back every time. That's fantastic. Yeah, he's just a model of consistency, and you can pencil him in that lineup, and you know what he's going to give you. So, Justin Turner.
There you go. I just thought about. Do they make a jersey that they sell like where it has like a fake pine tar stain? They should do that, like the white jersey, like with a fake. Yeah, I would buy that. Anyway,
he has that a lot. He always got the stain, and I can't think who else does that. I think Javi also has one. Like Francisco Lindor and some other guys always have it on their back. That'd be cool. Or the helmet, the pine tar, like Robbie Cano.
Right, just absolutely covered everything.
Can't even see the logo.
No. I'll talk about Ginger a little bit later. One of my favorite players. Again, I'm shocked by how high up he is on my list, but like I try and do this as objective as possible. Otherwise, Eduardo would be number 1. My 6th for real life, 5th for fantasy, is a guy by the name of Anthony Rendon. I feel like people are sleeping on this guy for some reason. I get it. I mean, he was injured last year and he performed poorly. So that, I guess that is your reason. But at the same time, he performed poorly because he was injured and tried to play through an injury, and it just didn't work for 50 games. Um, I just I just don't know what to tell you. Also, his BABIP looks. I mean, he clearly got very unlucky last year. There's not enough data to say how hard he even hit the ball last year. His career BABIP is 312. It's kind of just the guy he is. You look at the last 5 years: 314, 323, 323, 302. Last year, 267. At no other point in his career has he ever hit below 302 or 304 for a BABIP in a season. So it's just completely unsustainable how poorly he hit last year. And even with a shit BABIP like that, he hit 240. Is that a good average? No. Every other year is on base 418, 412, 374, 403. Those are the last 5 years. I think we know what Anthony Rendon is. He was just injured. I do think he's going to come back healthy. I think his numbers are going to be closer to what he's used to doing. I don't think he's going to do the 2019 34 bombs. I think that's crazy inflated. 34 bombs, 126 ribbies. You're not going to see that again. You're going to see what he was before, which was 24 and 90, 25 and 90. Like, that's the kind of hitter he is. I think he's going to have 24 bombs, a 290 average, a 385 on base, no steals, average defender, average leadership, not a very vocal guy, but certainly one of the bigger bats in that Angel lineup. Just on the team he is, like, I don't know if he's much of a leader. Stop sleeping on my boy. I don't know. Stop sleeping on Anthony Rendon. He's literally one of the best hitters in the league. He's going to hit 290 this year. Book it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but he just didn't tickle my fancy, and I didn't even give him a top 10 or a just missed out based off of his year last year and during the pandemic year. He didn't have a very good year either, I believe. I could be way off on that, but if I remember correctly.
Pandemic, he hit like 9 bombs with a 286 and a 418 on base.
Yeah. All right. Well, never mind. I'm totally
38
wrong.
walks, 31 strikeouts in the pandemic.
All right, you're really trying to make me look bad.
And I'm not trying to make you look bad. I'm just telling people to stop sleeping on my boy. He was injured last year. Give him a break.
I'm fast asleep. I mean, to be fair, I think him being on the Angels kind of affected my decision too, because it never goes well when they sign big free agents.
That is true.
But yeah, he also used to torch the Mets for many years. So maybe that subconsciously played a part in it. Yeah, but I've always actually kind of liked Rendon. But yeah, he just couldn't crack my top 10. I'm a tough grader, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, listen, that's how it is, Sean.
All right, so yeah, absolutely. We're at 5 now. Am I right?
I think you're right.
This whole number counting down thing is just really tough for me.
It's tough for everybody.
We have the aforementioned Dan's favorite player, Austin Riley, on my list here. Another guy who torches the Mets. Who doesn't at this point? But remember when he first came up, he was hitting bombs left and right, and then the pitchers kind of figured him out, and everybody kind of had forgotten about him in a sense. And last year he really, really broke out. Defense, like you said, not great. He plays a little bit of left field, a little bit of first base. He's not really a third baseman by trade. Honestly, he might DH a little bit this year, if you think about it. I don't really know who else. But on the other flip side of the coin, Ron Washington is the infield coach. And look what he's done to Ozzie Albies. So Austin Riley could be a Gold Glove winner in the next 10 years, for all we know. Ron is just Ron. I mean, God, Ron Washington.
Ron, if he said I'll play third base this year, I'd have him top 3. I really would. I love
absolutely. But the numbers you can't you can't. What am I trying to say? You can't. Nothing to sneeze at is what I'm trying to say. There we go. Yeah, let's go with that. Disregard. Struck out 168 times. Not great, but he's the player who can get away with that. I mean, 303 average, and you're going to strike out how many times? I'm okay with it. Totally okay. I know the average was a bit high. As expected was like 282, you said. 107 RBIs, 33 home runs, OPS of almost 900, just two ticks down for 900.
Yeah.
He's going to regress a little bit. That was definitely a bit of an anomaly type year for him. But he needed that year because he was really getting questioned. He wasn't even, I don't think, the opening day starter at third base. I forget who it was, but he earned that. He took it and ran, and he has some pure power. Some of the home runs he's hit are just absolutely insane to watch. The Atlanta Braves, man, they're set up for probably about another 5-6 years of just potentially winning more championships, which is just terrifying. But Austin Riley, number 5 for me. I honestly didn't think he was going to crack the top 5 going into it, but he really surprised me. So top 5, Austin Riley. Not for his defense.
Sean, what you did there, I think was beautiful. I think he deserved to be top 5 somewhere. It wasn't going to be for me.
Yeah.
My 5th best third baseman is going to be, God, this sucks, man, because 3 years ago, not 3, maybe 4 years ago, I don't think this would have been close. I think he would have been the number 1. I think Jose Ramirez has been underrated for a while, so he probably could have been the number 1 a couple years ago too. But I'm talking about Nolan Arenado, folks. Is who I'm talking about. All right, 5th for real life, 6th for fantasy. So flop him and Rendon for those 2 things. Yes, I'd rather have Rendon in fantasy. I think Arenado, 35 bombs with a 255 average. Just the on base, Sean. I don't think he's going to get on base more than a 315, and that's rough, man. That is not great. 2 steals, but listen, what if you're going to hit 35 and 255 but not get on base? What do you need to do to get into a top 5, Sean? You got to be the best defender at a position. I've already said that Ke'Bryan Hayes could be the best defender. He could be. But the reason he could be is because Nolan Arenado is right now. I think he's better than Chapman, and maybe that's just bias. But also the leadership-wise, I just think Nolan Arenado is also heads and tails above Chapman and or Hayes as far as being a leader, especially in that St. Louis team that already has a bunch of leaders. More like Goldschmidt, I think, is more of a quiet leader. I think Arenado is probably one of the bigger leaders in that clubhouse, if not the leader, and that's important to me. One thing to mention about Nolan, although he doesn't get on base and he doesn't hit for a high average, this is kind of the archetype I was talking about with Matt Chapman. If Matt Chapman could just, if you're not going to hit for a high average, at least just don't strike out every time. Nolan only struck out 14.7% of the time last year, and the last 3 years was 14.7, 10, and 14. I mean, the guy doesn't really strike out. He doesn't walk a hell of a lot either, around 8%, which is okay. It's not bad. But he really doesn't strike out. It's just once he moved out of Colorado, the average just took an absolute nosedive, which is really unfortunate for the man, because he was one of my favorite players in Colorado. I'm trying to pull up his stats now. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize. My computer's moving very slowly. I just want to tell you why. Sean, do you have anything to say about Nolan while I do this?
Well, Nolan's actually my 4th best.
Okay.
So he's my next guy.
Get into it then. You get into it, man.
I was thinking the same thing about the average. I have the averages right here. So he's a career 288 hitter. As soon as he left Colorado, his average went, it was 253 in 2020 shortened year. We'll throw that out the window. He was hitting at or above 300 every year in his career, except from his rookie year. As soon as he went to St. Louis, 255. But the strikeouts were actually less this year than they were in Colorado. But you'll take 34 bombs, 105 RBIs for 255 batting average. But my God, on base percentage 312. He definitely could walk a little bit more. But when you have that kind of defense and that leadership, it gets kind of to the point where, those numbers don't tell the whole story.
No, and if you look at his BABIP, if you scroll down and look at his BABIP in Colorado, his 293 BABIP career, which is where he is. He had a 300 BABIP every year in Colorado, and that's a little bit frightening because if you're only getting a 300 BABIP in Colorado, where the average there is like 320. I mean, look at his first year in St. Louis at 250. I don't think that's unluckiness. I just think that's just park factor, unfortunately, which is why I think I have his projected stats almost exactly what he did last year. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's bad. 255 and 35 homers. You'll take that. If you can figure out how to walk a little more, because I mean, this guy was like almost a 400 on base guy, but that's not almost 400, like a 370, 375. But if you could figure out how to walk more, I mean, it's just the on base is rough. 30% on base is not great. No, great defender. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Platinum Gold Glove winner, I believe, a couple times.
Yeah.
Platinum Glove winner. Yeah, so he's my number 4. I guess you can go right ahead and name your 4th.
Sure. Guys, again, I really didn't think it was going to be here. My 4th for real life, 8th for fantasy. So I don't think you can trust this guy as much for fantasy. But it's my man, Ginger Jesus, who top 4. What are we talking about? I don't even believe myself. But like honestly, this is just what it came out to be when I ran the Numbres. I mean, you think about him, especially as a Dodger fan, he's had some health issues, but when he's on the field, he is the leader, the team leader. He's one of the best bats. Always underrated in a sense too. And I think I just had a bad taste in my mouth because the Dodgers, if you remember last offseason, were like, we don't really want Turner. You could just, they wouldn't even give him the qualifying offer or whatever.
Yep.
And people were like, you understand this is our third baseman, right? Like one of our best players, and they were just, until like it was very late in the offseason, like, I guess we have a little over. You want to come back, Justin? Would you want to? It's like, this is Justin freaking Turner, not just, I feel like the Dodgers do this. They play for the regular season. Like, screw the effing regular season. Who's been a better postseason bat for the Dodgers in their career? No one other than Justin Turner. I believe he has the most homers and the most RBIs all time for the Dodgers as a playoff person. If there's ever a moment in the playoffs throughout, I would say 2015 through 2019, there's a big moment. Who's hitting the homer, who's getting on base, that's Justin Turner. Yeah. I understand we had some different moments there in 2020 and 2021 with Seager and Chrissy T. But Justin Turner for a long time was hard to believe the only bat we had. We were very pitching heavy, and Justin Turner was the only bat you could really trust in those high intensity situations. Getting to my projections, I think he's going to hit 26 bombs with a 289 average. I had to keep him under 290 just because I felt it was wrong, and a 375 on base. I mean, talk about, and the defense is still average. It's league average, which is decent for him being his age. And leadership, I'm sorry, if you don't think he's, right up there with Arenado or if the best leader at a third base position, you're wrong. He's sadly mistaken. So 2.5 grade out of defense and leadership. Just taking a look at his stats, his baseball savant's all red, folks. His underlying metrics back it up. He's 37 years old. He had a 361 on base. I don't know. Last year was the first, and he got unlucky last year. Like, he had a 292 BABIP. Every other year, he's 340, 304, 330, 320, 290. Like, he got unlucky and hit 280, 360 with 27 bombs.
Yeah.
He's a 290 hitter with almost 400 on base. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't know he was that good. I really didn't even know he was that good because I never had to look at his numbers. I'm sorry. I got a little tangent there. God bless.
It's all good.
God bless the man.
I agree. I think that the Dodgers were crazy for almost letting him leave.
Yeah.
But the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So we're cracking the top 3 now. My top 3 is a guy that Dan really likes. I like as well. Extremely underrated and probably will be traded very soon. Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland, no longer Indians, but Guardians. He's still 28. I don't know about you, but I think in my mind, he's like 35. He's 28. I mean, he's still got a lot of prime left. He's going to be traded at some point. His name's been in the rumors for a while. But that's not his fault whatsoever. It's just Cleveland and the situation they're in. A team that has literally traded away every single player of value over the past 5 years. But that's besides the point. Jose Ramirez honestly had a bit of a down year last year as far as batting average goes in his career. 266, you definitely could do better. But what I really like most about him, he has never struck out more than 100 times in his career. Never. Not once. Not a single
Fine.
time. He's been in the league for 9 years, played 980 games, never struck out more than 100 times in his career. 36 bombs, 103 RBIs, 27 stolen bases.
He's a 30-30 guy, Sean.
Yeah,
I
when you
think
look
you're
at him, you
underrating
don't
him here.
you look at him, you don't think he's got speed, but he's got some speed, and he's a decent defender too. I mean, he basically has got the whole package of what you're looking for. He's going to require quite a return, what the Indians get, or excuse me, Guardians get. But I think this guy is severely underrated. He's never had below an 800 OPS in his career. And to me, 800 OPS is like the threshold of a good player. If you're below 800, yeah, you know, but once you get 800 and above and close to 900, that's when you become, in my eyes, a really good player. And he's come close to 900 multiple times, never been below 800. I mean, I don't even know where to keep going with this guy. I always have liked Jose Ramirez. He's 28 years old. He's still got years of prime left, and he gets better. It seems like he gets better and better as time goes on. Jose Ramirez, my top three third baseman. It's a lot of threes there. Yeah,
you got it. I'm going to a guy I don't like as much. Believe it or not, he used to be one of my favorite players. And then when he played against my favorite team, which at the point he played against my favorite team was the Yankees. And then he played for my favorite team, which wasn't the Yankees anymore. And then I really started to dislike him. This is, of course, Manny Machado. Missed a swing and miss on one knee, pretend to be Adrian Beltre to lose a World Series. Listen, the guy's a stud still. Came up, people thought he was A-Rod. I think it's still a decently fair comp, except he doesn't have as much athleticism, speed, or desire to win.
Steroids.
Yeah, or steroids. Then I guess that's
At
where the
least as much as
athleticism
we know.
and speed comes from. If he took steroids, maybe he would be A-Rod. Another filthy year last year. 28 bombs, 106 ribbies, 278, 347 average. But at the end of the day, my guy Manuel, he lights up the Baseball Savant page like a freaking Christmas tree. I wish he didn't swing and miss as much. As much as he swings and misses, his strikeout percentage is still 16%, which really, frankly, folks, isn't bad. I almost wish it was. The one thing though, as good as he did last year with the 278, 347, you look at the year before 304, 370 in the shortened season. His metrics back up that he would really underperformed last year. I mean, his expected batting average was 295, expected slugging was 530. His batting average 278, slugging 489. This is a guy who, frankly, could be a lot better this year, which is a little bit scary, especially with how filthy he is. -4 on the expected homers. He was supposed to hit 32 last year. I don't know if I've even given my slash lines. I think he's going to hit 33 homers with a 283 average, a 360 on base, and 8 steals. With leadership is where you got to question it, because I have heard he's become a better leader in the clubhouse. Defense is still pretty elite. I have him at a 2.5 for defense and leadership. I think that's a fair grade. The steals are what they are. If he gets 10 steals, he might. I think he's going to get 8. And I think the average comes up a little bit to 283, but I don't think he's going to even. I think he's a guy that's going to consistently hit under his expected batting average, which he has done in his career, simply because he doesn't run out balls and he doesn't try. So believe it or not, even though he's fast, his lack of effort, I think, hinders what his full potential could be. But still a top 3 third baseman in the game. That's Manny Machado.
Yep. And Manny Machado is my number 2 third baseman. I was in the mindset going into last year that he was on the decline a little bit, because I thought he got his big contract, lost all motivation with the Padres, because his first year with them was decent. He had 85 RBIs, hit like 270 something. Let me see here. Yeah. No, sorry, 256. So I was like, all right, he got his money. Along with the motivation aspect of things, I thought he was kind of done. But last year, he actually, dare I say, quietly had a really good year. I feel like everybody's focusing on Fernando Tatis Jr. more so than they were on him. And he really did have a good year, and a team that really didn't have very good offense, which is crazy to say considering the players they have. And also, I think he maybe has taken a step in the right direction as far as being a leader. We saw him
Yeah.
kind of get a bit of a altercation with Tatis at one point, and that's something, you know, normally it was the other way around. People were confronting him because he was a bit of a, you know, not a clubhouse, you know, cancer or per se, but he didn't really see eye to eye with a lot of people. I know with the Dodgers, he kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and we're not just talking about you, Dan.
Yeah.
But his lack of effort is really infuriating. Yeah, that's the aspect of it that really can turn people off on a player. They could be a great player, best player in the league, but if you see him walking down to first base or they get a single on a ball that hits the wall when it should be a double, that's stuff that kind of really annoys me. But the numbers don't lie. He really is one of the best third basemen in baseball, and he has been since he came up in like 2013. And he's still 28 years old somehow. Also, the fact he had 12 stolen bases last year was shocking to me because that required running. So that, I mean, good for him. And I'm not joking around here, but he is a good player, and I don't know if he'll ever live up to that contract. But honestly, I don't know if anybody can live up to that contract. But the Padres, they got the number 2 third baseman in my eyes, much as it pains to say.
One thing I'll say about Machado, you know, as far as his effort, the weird thing about him is he doesn't come off as he doesn't want to win. He seems like he really wants to win.
Yeah.
You know, like when you hear him in interviews or like when he speaks, he's like, I really do want to win. Like it's important for him to win a championship. Like he's on this quest to win a championship. So it doesn't match up with what he does. His actions don't really match up with his mentality, but I don't question his love for the game or desire to win. It's just what he does on the field does not always equate to how he maybe feels. But that was your number 2 guy, right?
It doesn't help they signed with Padres too.
Right.
Yeah.
We did it again, folks. Oh, that means we did it again. Oh, I can't wait for you, number 1, Sean. I can't wait for it. Oh,
we did it.
I'm getting filthy with it. My number 2. I almost rather wait to tell you my number 2, but it is Rafael Devers, folks. Number 2 for real life, number 2 for fantasy, as well. I'm just gonna pull up his stats here. I project him. Listen, let's talk about the bad first because everything else is fantastic. The defense, guys, it ain't good. It's not that it isn't good, Sean. It's actually quantifiably the worst, which is unfortunate to see. But I know he's young. I do think that he is going to be, in the next 2 years, the leader of this team. I think he has that type of energy. Talk about wanting to win. To me, that's Devers. Talk about clutch. That's Devers. What was it, to get into the playoffs or in the wild card game or whatever when he hit the homer to set dead center to win that game this past season?
He goes to get in, yeah.
To get in. He came up to the plate. I was watching, I believe, with Leif, with Coach, and I was like, the game's over, man. And this guy's got wild pop. You remember him coming up against Chapman 102, and he goes Oppo Taco at like 18 or 19. I mean, the guy's insane. Last year, he hit 279 with a 352 on base, 38 bombs. He does strike out a little bit, which is a little rough. But if you look at his BABIP, it was 10 to 20 points lower than his career average. So I do think that he's going to eventually hit for a high average. If you listen to his expected batting averages, cutting out 2020, because he did have a little bit of a down year in 2020, which is why people were off of him. But I do think there was some mental stuff going on there. In 2019, now granted, this is 2019, expected batting average was 299. And in 2021, it was 291. I do think there is a profile in here for this kid to hit around 290 to 300. He hit 311 in 2019. I mean, 280, nothing to sneer at last year. It's 279, so it's a little off-putting, like a 99 situation. You know, 199 really is 200. It's $2. But I think he's going to hit 42 bombs, a 292 average, a 365 on base with 2 steals. The defense is a 5, but I do think the leadership's pretty elite. So I have it as a 3.5. I just want to quickly check to see if how his expected homers works. I believe, yeah, -3. He was on pace to hit almost 43 or 44 homers last year. I don't think it'd be shocking for him to get over 40 this year. He's got crazy pop, and he's only growing into it. What is he, 25, Sean? 25 years old. I mean, clearly he's my dynasty third baseman. He's my guy. I love Devers. But Sean, take it away. What did I miss?
I mean, and he plays at Fenway, so those home runs could easily go up. He was my number one third baseman. Cat's out of the bag there. He's got the it factor. He's clutch. I mean, he did it, like you said, off Chapman when he was a rookie. In the playoffs, unfortunately, he had, I think, a wrist injury, so he wasn't quite full, level, but he still was producing. He still was gutting it out. He's the Red Sox. They have some. Last year, they weren't expected to win anything, and Devers and Bogarts and even JD Martinez, they carry that offense. And Devers, from what I can tell, is really good. Everybody loves him. Good leader. Really young. I mean, when Mookie Betts got traded, he really embraced that role of being the cornerstone of that franchise. And I think he's only going to go up from here. I dare I say, I think his numbers, not underperformed, but he could do better than what he did last year. And that's a crazy thing to say. I could be off on that, but I think that the sky's the limit for this guy. And he's a fun player to watch.
Oh, crazy fun. And just to back up what you said, I mean, just expecting batting average of slugging, like I said, 291 and 570 expected slugging. He hit 279 with a 538. Nothing that's near out of 538 slugging, but it's expected was closer to 600. I mean, this guy, he didn't underperform, like you said, but there's room for growth, and especially being 25, just natural growth as well. It could be pretty scary.
Yeah, it's crazy how the Red Sox could trade their best player in Betts and literally almost go to the World Series this year.
Yeah, no, I know. That's true. And the Dodgers. Anyway, so getting into my first ranked third baseman, first for fantasy and first in real life. Sean, I'm going to come at you here, okay? I love me some Rafi Devers, but I think you're underrating my man Jose Ramirez a little bit too much with the third spot, Sean. I do. I think this guy's been criminally underrated for years. I think he's been the best third baseman. Let me look at the stats. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to take my time and actually tell you my actual answer. I'm not going to just spew lies. 1, 2, 3. I think probably for 4 years he's been the best third baseman. And at no point in that time has people thought that. I do. I think he's been a top 10 player for 4 years. Really, I could give you 5. I could seriously give you 2017 when he had 29 homers, a 318 average, and a 374 on base. I could go there, but I won't because the bags weren't. He's somehow stealing more bases. I couldn't tell you. He's a 30-30 guy all day. He plays, 152, 152, 157, 129, 58 out of 60, 152. I mean, 5 or 6 out of the last 7 years, this guy's playing 150 plus.
Yeah.
The guy's just playing the sport, which is a big thing to do when you're playing the sport.
Yeah.
Last year, this guy's BABIP is the one thing that's weird. Career 282, but a lot of years in the 300s, all of a sudden 252, 256. 2020, 294, back down last year at 256. His expected batting average last year, 284. So the batting average is a little bit weird. It's all over the place. I do think that he's going to settle in this year and have a bounce back year. I'm just banking on it. I think he's going to hit 286, 36 homers, 372 on base with 24 steals. I don't think he's going to be the 30-30, but I think he's definitely 35-25. Defense is decent. Leadership is decent. I think he's at a 2.5. I mean, you don't get this kind of power and speed with batting average upside. I mean, he could easily hit 290 with a 370 on base. I mean, stop sleeping on Jose Ramirez, everybody. Stop it. I think he's better than Devers for sure this year. I do. I'm putting it out there. I think you're wrong. That's how I feel today. I hope you're right.
Okay,
I
all
hope,
right.
I hope to
Wow.
God that you're right. Because Matt
Wow.
hasn't. And I don't like Matt or his team.
Well, I agree. He's a fantastic player. I think that Devers and Machado last year at least had better years for me. Yeah,
Devers is great. Yeah,
Rafi.
that's right.
We have time for the DH, or are we running out of time? What do you think here? So, Universal DH coming to the National League.
Right.
Years in the making. It's finally happening, and well, this whole position of DH is about to get a lot more lucrative in both leagues, and we're going to see more guys do it. Hell, we might even see a lot of the guys we talked about today: Austin Riley, Rafi Devers. Devers is already in the American League, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, Universal DH. Nelly Cruz. The man's Tom Brady's the ageless wonder? No. Nelly Cruz. You want to start out with the DHs since I started with the third base?
Sure. All I'm gonna do is say the names and stats of these people that didn't make the cut. We're only doing top 5 for DH. I'm just gonna shout out Austin Meadows. I think he could hit in a perfect world. I traded Austin Meadows for I forget who. I traded Austin Meadows for like 2 pieces of shit to Matt this year in regular fantasy, and he proceeded to just hit a homer in every at bat there following. Meadows is such a weird player. His numbers don't back up anything, and then they back up everything, whether good or bad. He's like bipolar. I know I said I was just going to say their names and their stats, but Austin Meadows is the only guy I'm not going to do that for, just because I'm so confused on Austin Meadows. I was very high on him, and then all of a sudden I can't tell whether he's a great player or he's garbage. Are you going to talk about Austin Meadows at any point today, Sean?
No, I wasn't. I honestly didn't. I only had like one name of a player who just missed out. But I will say this: Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the worst trades you could possibly make. Austin Meadows and Tyler Glasnow for Chris Archer. Terrible.
All I'm going to say, I know it's 2019, but with a sustainable BABIP and only 140 games. So I think take 2019 and make it 150. These are probably fair numbers. 33 homers, 291, average 365 on base. Last year, 27 homers, 234, average 315 on base. Who is Austin Meadows? I don't know. If he is a good player, I think his potential this year could be 30 homers, 280 average, 350 on base. If he's not, his career is over. Guy that just missed, Franmil Reyes, a lot better than I would have thought. 38 homers, 255 average, 325 on base, a little low. 5 steals, too. Book it that Franmil Reyes gets 5 steals this year. I think he wins some money on that.
That's hard to believe, actually. He's a big boy.
I was shocked, Sean. I couldn't tell you how many did he get last year. It was like, why do I have to write that he's going to do this? I was shocked, but I couldn't leave it off.
Yeah.
How many did he get last year? Let's see. Franmil got 4 stolen bases in 115 games. 4 stolen, 1 caught. So he's, out of nowhere. He had never stolen a base prior. He played 3 other seasons, never tried. Franmil Reyes, okay?
He's trying.
He's trying. He's succeeding to a point. And then tied for 6th, just missing out, is Jorge Soler and JD Martinez. JD, the leadership is great. The defense is just about got off. 29 bombs, 274 average, 350 is what I'm projecting. He's definitely starting to decline. He's not MVP JD anymore. And then Jorge Soler, 36 bombs, 256 average, 335 on base. The defense isn't great. The leadership is definitely worse than JD. They just missed out. On to the real players here. Number 5, another guy I really hate, Teoscar Hernandez.
Oh, okay. I thought we were about to say the same one for a second.
Trying to think who else you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Teoscar Hernandez. I think he's going to hit 33 bombs with a 282 average, a 340 on base, and 10 steals. The defense is actually fairly decent for his position, which is no position. He can play left and right field. He played mostly there last year. He's projected to be their DH this year, so that's what I'm keeping him as. Also, don't think he'd probably get mentioned when we do outfield, so I might as well throw him in here. Definitely some of the most speed you're going to see out of a DH, and some of the best defense you're going to see out of a DH. 282 with 33 bombs ain't bad. The only thing with Teoscar is his one interesting stat I found is his swing percentage, Sean. Percentage of time he swings. You throw a ball to the plate, he's swinging 49% of the time.
Wow.
Found that to be egregious.
That is a lot.
You look at a guy like Soto, still, believe it or not, a little bit slightly over 30, I believe, or 29, which I thought was even high for Soto, but I guess that's fair. 1 every 3 times, yeah. But 1 of every 2 pitches this guy's swinging at. My only concern with Teoscar, I mean, he can hit the ball. He hits the ball hard. The metrics back it up. Are they going to start to realize that and not throw him strikes?
Yeah.
It's the concern I've had with Seager as well, who always swings at the first pitch. You can throw the ball literally behind him. He's going to take a hack at that first pitch. I'm concerned that if pitchers start realizing he's swinging at everything, they might be more patient with the at-bats with him and then not give him as many first pitch strikes, and that could hurt his numbers. Just a thought. I don't know if that'll happen. That's my number 5 guy.
All right. Basically, one guy who missed out I'll mention is Jorge Soler. Ball still hasn't landed yet, by the way.
No, it hasn't.
No. Anyway, my 5th guy is he's a fan favorite in New York. Really, I know Dan loves him. Giancarlo Stanton. Me and Dan had this discussion off camera or off recording, whatever you want to call it. If I told you Giancarlo Stanton had close to 100 RBIs his first year in New York and this year, would you believe me? We both said no. I'll read you off the stats here. The dude had 97 RBIs, 35 home runs, and at 273.
Yeah, he was great.
New York is a tough place to play. Put it that way, because if you just didn't watch the games or just look at the stats and just listen to fans and all that, you would think the guy was the worst player to ever play in Major League Baseball. Guy's injured a lot. Typically, still played 139 games this year. Past 2 years were not really good. He played like 18 games one year and 12 the next. But the dude is menacing in the box, and I think that he doesn't really get the credit he deserves, or I know he doesn't get the credit he deserves as far as his offensive numbers. Also, he's not a bad outfielder. When he was with the Marlins, he has a great arm. Covers a fair amount of range. That was a few years ago at this point, so it's probably limited since then. But I'm surprised that he doesn't as little outfield as he plays. But Giancarlo Stanton, my 5th best DH. Honestly, he probably should be higher. But yeah, he really doesn't get credit for what he does.
No, he doesn't. Those 35 homers, 97 ribbies were also in less than 140 games last year.
Yeah.
Just to be frank about things, I don't like him. I really don't like this guy. I mean, we could have had Starlin Castro. Such a better player.
Yeah.
Defense and leadership, you got a 2.5 here, and I can tell you that is the defense dragging that number closer to 1, and not the leadership. Man, just don't watch him if you're a kid. He's a good player, but that's because he's 6'8" with 70,000 pounds of muscle. Okay, not because he's a good hitter. He turns around before he swings the bat. I don't like the player. I do think he's my 4th best DH this season. I think he's going to hit 39 bombs, a 272 average with a 362 on base, no steals. His average exit velocity is still 99th percentile, folks. He's still hitting the ball 122 miles an hour. Okay, that's what he does. Unfortunately, I wish he didn't, but it is what he does. That's all I got, Sean. He hits the ball fucking hard, and that is good in this sport.
Yep.
Oh, am I still up now? No,
Was he your fifth?
fourth.
Fourth. Who's your fifth again?
Teoscar.
Teoscar. Yeah, I meant to say I had Teoscar as an outfielder, so that's why he's not
Okay.
in this.
Yeah.
My fourth DH is Yordan Alvarez. Yordan, 277, 104 RBIs, 33 bombs, strikes out a fair amount, but he's DH on a very a good team. As much as it pains me to say that. 24 years old. Sky's the limit for him. I really don't know what else to say, but he's a good player.
Yeah, I'll talk about him a little bit later. One of my favorite players. So I do think that's a fair place to rank him. I'm not going to give you too much grief there. My third best, right? That's where we're at. Yeah, my third best DH is going to be the man you see there. That's Nelly Cruz. I mean, I had to call Sean as I was doing my research. I was like, Sean, I felt like I had to go to confession. I was like, Sean, I didn't know. Like, I wanted to tell you, I didn't know. If I knew, I would have acted differently the rest of my life. You think of Nelson Cruz, or I thought of Nelson Cruz, like probably hits like 260, like a 320, 330 on base guy, maybe 340, gets some walks, hits homers. That classic, basically Franmil Reyes is what I thought he was. But he's cute, he's adorable, you love him. He's a great clubhouse guy, great leader, and that's where a lot of this value is. Because a lot of guys like this get overrated because of their leadership, like Derek Jeter. Their numbers get overinflated because of how good of a leader they are. I'm sorry, not the case with Nelson Cruz. Apparently, he's just been like one of the top 10 hitters in baseball, period. Like, I don't care where you're playing. The last couple of years. I didn't know, like, guys, we're talking like a 285, 290 hitter with like a 370 on base guy. Like, not like 40 bombs, 260, 350, like 40 bombs, 290, 370. Okay, like we didn't say one guy at third base was going to do 40, 290, 370. No, Devers not going to have 370 on base. There's no third baseman that's going to hit that well. I don't know if he's going to do that this year. Okay, I am factoring age a little bit, but I'm also factoring in a little bit. I got to give this guy some credit back. Defense and leadership is at a 3, and that's because the leadership is at a 1, dragging that defensive 5 back down to 3.
Look at the World Series, baby.
That's right. 36 homers, 285 average, 370 on base. And get ready for this, Sean. How many steals do you think I'm projecting?
I'm saying 1.
4 steals. I'm giving him 4 steals this year. Okay. 2020, no steals. 2019, no steals. 2018, 1 steal. 2017, 1 steal. Okay. 2021, though, Sean, in 140 games, 3 steals, no caught stealing. I'm telling you that this guy, I think he's starting to run, Sean. I think he's going to build off the momentum last year, 3-0. Listen, he didn't get caught. So I think they start sending him. And remember, he played for the Rays. They don't even let people steal.
No.
The guy was just like, guys, I got this.
He must have got those steals with Minnesota.
I'm going to check right now where he got those steals with. They were all with Minnesota in 85 games. Okay, that means his last 55, he could have had 7-8 steals last year if Tampa just let him run like Minnesota did.
Yeah.
I think he goes to not Tampa, which I think is the most clear, obvious thing. I don't think he goes back to Tampa, right? He's
Minnesota. Yeah, I think he goes to Minnesota.
Right. Sean, he had 3 steals in 80 games last year. You don't think he can get 5?
Right, you can
watch out for this guy to become a speed demon out there. Just watch out.
He's been doing a lot of 402s.
402 and back. Holy shit. I haven't done that in a while. But stop sleeping on it. This guy can hit 300. Nelson Cruz. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about him later, but I think you probably already covered everything. Number 3 for me is a guy who I think gets disrespected, even by his own fan base and his own team, JD Martinez. the guy has been a model of consistency for the past like 4 or 5 years. Red Sox don't win a World Series in 2018 without him. They probably don't make the playoffs this year without him. Every year they try and get rid of him. They're trying to get him to opt out of his contract 2 years ago. He opted in because, he wants to take the money. I can't blame him for that. But the dude just produces. I mean, he doesn't play defense, but this is DH, so defense isn't, you don't need to play defense for DH. I mean, last year, 99 RBIs, 28 home runs, hit 286. I mean, the dude's a 290 career hitter. He just produces and produces. I mean, I sound like a Red Sox fan this episode, but I'm not. But I think he just gets kind of overlooked, and he's a really important aspect of that lineup. Gives Devers some protection in the lineup and Bogarts as well. He's up there in age. He really is not mobile. He's 33. Up there in age. Nelly Cruz is making everyone look bad at this point. Yeah. With the age. But JD Martinez is really underrated, I think. And again, I keep saying that, I know. But I think he gets disrespected, and he's a really, really good player, and he's clutch too, which is something you can't really put a value on. So
maybe I underrated him a little bit. Maybe I did. Maybe you got me there.
Yeah, I think it did.
I don't know why I said he was going to hit 274. I assume that's because some bullshit backup, data number told me that his BABIP was too high last year, something like that. I don't know, but the guy has been a model of consistency. He just missed my list. I do think that age was starting to get to him a little bit last year. I think in the second half, I remember he slumped a little bit. But again, that could just be injuries, nagging. I'm not up to date on Red Sox news and whatever. Anyway, my number 2, okay, real life. I didn't do fantasy rankings for these guys. I'm sorry. My number 2 DH is Yordan Alvarez, already previously mentioned by Sean. I think in the world there's, not saying you're sleeping. I think there's some sleeping going on in the world.
Yeah,
this guy can hit. Okay, he does strike out, but he hits hard a lot. Again, looks like a Christmas tree on the Baseball Savant page. He swings and misses though, and he doesn't walk enough. That is his issue. He needs to get the walk rate up over 10% if he's going to be striking out 24%. But with how hard he hits, his expected batting average is 3 years in the majors, 288, 278, 280. I mean, the guy's just like a 280 hitter. I just think that's what he's going to do. I also think he's going to outperform that because of how hard he hits the ball. He hit 277 last year. I think this year he takes a step forward and cuts down his strikeout rate a little bit. That's just how I feel. I think he's going to hit 288 this year with a 365 on base, which is pretty much in line with what he was supposed to do last year as far as on-base numbers. So I do think that goes up. I think his walk rate increases. And we're talking about homers here. If you got to talk about homers, do I have to talk about homers?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Okay. I think the guy hits 42 homers this year. Okay, he got a little bit unlucky last year. He's supposed to hit 38 in about 145 games, and the guy just mashes. I think he hits 42 homers. There's a little bit of projection here with the average and homers, and I like him. There's a little bit of homerism in me. But I think 42 homers, 288 average with a 365 on base. I'm sorry, this guy just mashes. He doesn't play any defense. Please don't ever put him in the outfield again. He's not going to steal your base like Nelly. He doesn't have the speed. But that's what I got for Yordan number 2.
I like that. I like that a lot. I really do. My number 2 is Nelson Cruz. I really don't have too much to add to what Dan said. Aside from he did used to swipe some bags, by the way, in his younger years with Texas.
You ever have 20?
What was that?
Did he ever have 20?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you, what do you think his career high was? His career high was 20.
I'm sorry, Sean. I honestly
it's okay. It's 20 and then 17 the next year, and then it went right off the cliff.
He didn't need it.
No, he did not. Another guy you don't want to throw in the field. Texas fans still have nightmares about that. But clutch hitter though. Every time he's been in the postseason, he's been right in the middle of the mix offensively. I really don't have much to add. other than I hope the Mets sign him as their DH. It's not going to happen, but I hope they do.
I would literally be at a lot of games this summer. If you had
Eduardo.
Marte, Escobar, and Nelly Cruz, you'd get me in the stands for sure.
That's all we need to do.
All right, guys. Why are we yanking everybody's chain here? The number one DH in the league is just simply the guy, Shohei Ohtani. Like, let's stop effing around. I don't know why we had to make this. It's just Shohei. Quickly, just running through my projections for him: 42 homers, not 400, 272 average, 380 on base, with 22 steals, and he's going to get a 1 grade. Yes, that's the all coveted 1 grade for defense and leadership, frankly, because he's playing DH. So if you're going to have one of the DHs that's going to be
pitcher,
play the field, you're going to have Shohei. I'm not even talking about his pitching. Like, he is the best fielder because he plays pitcher, but if you're going to put him in the outfield, I'd probably rather him than any other guy on this list playing the outfield for me. Sadly enough, he's just a freak athlete. And leadership, I mean, I think we're already starting to see him really become a leader. Not that Trout isn't, but Trout's always been quiet. I mean, the guy can't even speak English, so it's hard to say he's not quiet. And that's not like a mark on him. But how many times did we say during the All-Star festivities that there's just something about this guy? Like, he's always happy, he's always smiling. Like, he's like very fun to talk to the media, even though he doesn't speak English perfectly. When he tries, like, he's just such a great guy. So I think the leadership, even though there is a little bit of a language barrier, is not as much of an issue as it could be with a lot of guys where there is a language barrier. Last year, I mean, he had 46 bombs, guys, is what he did last year. I don't think he gets to 46. I think he gets to 42. I don't think that's really smearing him so much. We'll get to his pitching side, probably at some point in the next month. I mean, the one thing he does is strike out too much. Almost 30% strikeout rate. He does walk a lot, over 15%. But if he can cut that strikeout rate down, Sean, I think his average is going to go up to 272. Last year, it's expected at 269 already. His expected slugging, by the way, guys, 616. I'm going to stop talking. It's just gross to even look at.
He's obviously my number one as well. Strikeouts, I like to see come down. He's somewhat in the Matt Chapman range, which is not great. But I really don't have too much to add. What was that?
How can he have that much production with Matt Chapman type strikeouts? That's pretty.
I don't know. And he walks that much too. So if he's not walking or striking out, he's getting a hit.
Yeah.
A home run, most likely, 46 of them. I don't really have too much to add. He deserves that number one spot wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and 26 bags last year. He did get caught 10 times.
I think that led the league.
What'd you say?
I think him getting caught 10 times led the league.
Yeah, so I do think that comes down. I have him at 22. I still think he steals 20 bases just because I think with Ohtani, the reason he broke out, a lot of it is mental. And I think the Angels know that. I think Joe was like, I'm just going to let this guy go. I'm going to let him play baseball. And that's how we're going to get the best out of him. It's pretty much what he said in spring training. And that's what happened. And I think Shohei really just wants to play like a kid in a positive way. And he's such a good athlete that I think Joe's going to be like, listen, if you want to steal a base, man, go for it. Like, that's part of something that Shohei enjoys, so they're not going to take that away. It's a weird way to look at it, but I do think he's still going to get 20 bags, but he's probably going to get caught. I mean, what is his speed, Sean? Like, what is his speed ranking? I think
I'm not sure, actually.
He is 91st percentile in speed. That's so crazy.
What doesn't he have?
Nothing. Plate discipline. Well, now plate discipline. He just swings and misses a lot. But yeah, Ohtani's the best DH in the league this year.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's that we're done then, right?
Okay, I guess that's it.
Okay. Thank you for watching episode 22 of the 10th Inning Podcast. Please stick around and watch our outro. It's freaking fantastic. Also, like, subscribe, comment, follow, all that fun stuff down below. Keep buying hats, and before you know it, we're going to have some like really cool designs. We may even record our own song for all we know.
We're going to hire other people to do the podcast. By next week, we're going to have just Jay Will right here. You're going to be like, where the hell is that thing? Like, we moved up. We're hired. We got new people. We don't need it. We need it anymore. We need to do it.
Yeah.
What are we doing next week, Sean?
We doing left field?
We're doing left field. We weren't before you
Left
said
field.
it by now. All right, guys. Get ready for left field next week. I don't think we have a guest. Maybe, maybe not. Let us know what you think about just us two versus a guest. Comment that down below. What format do you like better? And who is your favorite guest that you want us to bring back? But we'll see you next week for left field. See you, babes.